hold loving awareness within you, meaning you're aware of your being, and hold that, whatever you consider that energy, soul, hold it with love within you. Hello, my beautiful souls. Today's topic of discussion is why it is absolutely essential for a feminine's heart to be open so that she can live her life to the fullest extent. A huge part of being feminine is being free. If you're restricted in your thoughts and your energy, you cannot be free. I'm talking about freedom of movement and freedom of mind. Like there's no limit or boundaries to any thought or idea that you conceive. The feminine energy is best explained as the nature of water, which flows and is always in motion, it's always in momentum. If you place that water in any pitcher, it will take its form. So, in other words, it will become what holds it. Similarly, feminine energy becomes the idea it holds in her consciousness, and that's her brilliance. Do you realize that power? Most of us have rarely felt it because we restrict ourselves so much as a woman. Since time immemorial, the word woman has been synonymous with giving birth to idea, giving birth to a human being, creativity. So it is in the nature of woman to create. If she has that trust in herself and she mimics the nature of water, her own nature, then she will be a force not to reckon with. So, to reiterate, the first reason why a woman should open up her heart is to feel free, freedom of movement, freedom to create what she wants, and freedom in her energy. The second reason why a woman should open her heart is to be in the state of flow, which is the state of love. Love is freedom. Love is an emotion that is best explained as a perennial river of energy. And feminine energy cannot help but flow. It is in her very nature to constantly transform and to constantly renew herself. And when it is objected to and stopped, she cannot live a fulfilling life. The physical renewal of energy happens through the monthly menstruation cycle. It is then no coincidence that women with irregularities in their cycle or abnormalities in their cycle harbor pain in their heart. The heart of a woman is connected with her feminine nature. And when her heart is closed, then she cannot be in a state of flow, she cannot be in the state of love. And that's what brings us to our third point, that you cannot also feel love in depth if your heart is closed. Earlier, when I mentioned love, the state of love, I did not mean romantic love. I just meant that state of a general sense of love, the universal love within you, the love for life, the zest for life, that energy that runs through you daily, and you feel a sense of gratitude to be alive. That's the kind of love I was talking about. Now this third point brings us to the love for fellow human beings and romantic love. If as a human being you do not experience love in its depth, then you will always be searching for a safety net. A good example would be that of women who go for the safe guys, and by doing so they're already signaling that they're not that invested in that relationship, and if the person were to leave, it wouldn't hurt them as much. That's why these are the safe guys, because the term safe inherently means a choice that is not something you choose out of pure passion, but from a place of fear. The fear that if something would go wrong, the damage would be minimal with a safe person. So that's the third point, that you cannot love passionately or deeply as a woman if your heart is closed. And lastly, women should open up their hearts to heal their inner child. As a woman, our femininity and purpose flow through our being. And if our inner child is hurt, or we haven't recognized grief or issues inside of us, we live in such a limiting way. And with that, let's experience opening up our hearts. It's great if it's your first time. I'm happy to be the one to initiate this process for you. Let's call this activity How to Feel at Home Within Yourself If You Feel Too Far Gone. Firstly, develop a practice around your heart. Let's do this together. First, hold loving awareness within you, meaning you're aware of your being, and hold that, whatever you consider that energy, soul, hold it with love within you. Sense it like a bubble around yourself. Second, now whatever is bugging you in this present moment, if it's something this small, say that it's this small, allow it to become as big as it wants to be. Say that it's shame or guilt from the past that is bugging you till date. See that thing like a ball of energy and let it grow. Let yourself replay that event, if it's an event, in your mind the way it wants to. And let that little ball of energy grow bigger and bigger. It can be something that is not necessarily bugging you, but just making you feel something within you is making you feel out of alignment or off balance. And that can feel like tension in your heart, like someone is tugging on the strings of your heart, or it can feel like pain in your lower back. Whatever it is, imagine it like a little ball and imagine it growing bigger. However small that feeling of off balance is, allow it to magnify. So here is you in your loving awareness, and here's that ball that is slowly magnifying. Make that ball so big in your loving safety that now it cannot be ignored. Usually, what happens is that these small events from our lives that we're not very happy with, and that causes inner turmoil, we just put them together and place them somewhere in our heart, and it manifests into a disease or some kind of a pain, or it just manifests emotionally in the form that our hearts close. So what we want to do is we want to throw light on these things that have been living like pests in our body, and we want to bring them to our awareness, but at the same time we don't want to recognize with them. Magnifying these feelings and bringing them to the surface can initially cause unrest because there are so many of them and we have kept them inside us for so long. But know that for sure these feelings want to be seen, not ignored. Then, whenever this pot has reached to the brim, then whatever makes you feel safe, whether it's touch, massage, breathing with intent, movement with music, do that. I love lightly massaging myself and speaking kind words, and that creates enough safety in my body, enough playfulness in my body, and it helps to tune down the shock from this activity that we just did. And it also creates space for welcoming new energy, new ideas, and opening up the heart. By massaging myself, I try to calm my body and assure my being that today something will be different. There won't be any contraction in my heart. Today I'll feel lighter. Know that if you do not feel good after doing this, you feel like, oh, like you have just opened Pandora's box or something. Know that there is no hierarchy between feeling good or feeling bad, and both are human experiences. There's nothing wrong in feeling bad, there's nothing wrong in opening Pandora's box if it leads up to you opening your heart, to you having an absolute human feminine experience on this earth in this life. The idea of the entire activity is to be in a space where the heart is fully open and see what comes through as you're going through this activity. What are the feelings, what are the emotions that are coming through, what are the thoughts that are coming through? It'll tell you a lot about yourself. How do you treat yourself, and what do you think about yourself, your self concept? All of these things will come up. The first step in this entire activity to be accepting, to meet yourself where you're at. Don't force anything. Don't try to be like, I want to open my heart ASAP, so like let's just get done with it. We can't do that with our heart. It's not possible, because we're humans and we have to process feelings and not just get over them, right? The second step is to create more safety in the body, and that will come gradually. The third and the final step is to be curious about being open, and here playfulness is key. Maybe try dancing, maybe try speaking with strangers and see what happens. Sometimes, while doing this heart opening practice, feelings of grief and pain and anger, especially anger for women, it will come up. And when it does, do not try to make sense of these feelings with your mind. Just sit with them and treat them like a whole another person that is not you. Make that separation between you and those feelings very clear. I've created a whole separate video on why mind is a monkey and you should not navigate your emotions with your mind, and for that I'll leave the link in the description below. And lastly, for this activity I have a huge tip, and I'll just write it across over here, that do not write feelings, guys. This is the worst thing. I've done it for nearly 10 years, and at best it can make you a writer but it will not help. Writing feelings will not help. I can tell you with full agency that if you do this heart opening practice, then journal, half of your issues will dissipate. Do the feel work first, because that sensation in your body, that negative energy, that disgust, shame, guilt, anything that it is, that just wants to be recognized. It just does not want to be buried somewhere. Develop a practice where you feel safe enough to allow these sensations and feelings to show up. Else, if you try to repress them or try to make sense of them, they're gonna feel unheard. So, my loves, hold your heart in devotion and keep it open, because it is the key to the feminine in you.